All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here today. Luckily, also, every time I'm in London, I actually have good weather. So I don't know where the prejudice is coming from that it's raining here all the time. I haven't seen the rain so far. So for the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going beyond chat apps. And I will talk about how to overcome their global fragmentation. And in contrast to the impression that you might have gotten this morning, there are things that enterprise and brands can do today where they don't have to wait for another 2 years until their software solutions are ready to fully leverage the omni-channel rich messaging features in their production environments. So yeah, first of all, for those of you who don't know Netnumber yet, I hope the majority of you don't. For those of you who don't know who we are, we operate a global telco-grade network, and that is a critical component of the global signaling for messaging. Many of you probably don't know that, but we do that since over a decade, or close to like 15 years now. And in other words, basically, we are the core of the messaging ecosystem when it comes to signaling, which is very important to enable like two-way use cases, to do like sender ID verifications, etc. And this unique position in the ecosystem allows us to provide a variety of services around phone numbers that are very important to enterprises. So one thing that you can ask is what do you know about that phone number? And we can tell you like everything that you need to know about that phone number. B, what we can also do is we can empower service providers to activate and deactivate phone numbers for two-way messaging, just like this. And another thing that we're responsible for, and that was mentioned earlier as well, because we are so deeply integrated in the signaling ecosystem, you can't really spoof sender IDs in the North American messaging ecosystem. So yeah. That's it for a quick introduction of who we are and what we provide to the ecosystem. So let's talk a little bit about chat apps. There is a plethora of chat apps for businesses. So I've consulted businesses for about 4 years in using omni-channel in their customer engagement strategies. And the main question was always, all right, like if I use that channel, what's the coverage? Like what's my reach amongst my customers, my end users? And I used to like take this slide as an example to show them, well, it depends on where's your market, like in what country are you operating, and like what's the channel in the country that you're targeting that has the highest penetration. And we have seen earlier in the statistics that even if you use the most dominant one, your penetration is probably only 80% for just one channel. So it clearly becomes obvious that you can't just use one channel. If you want to reach everybody with your critical processes, you have to implement strategies for multiple channels, which might be expensive. And then if you do so, you also have to consider that all of these channels work slightly different. Their business messaging products are differently structured. They have different access restrictions, they have different onboarding processes, they have different commercial models, they have different like trade policies and commerce policies, they have content policies. Some of them are like you can do marketing outreach. Some of them are like what is being called P2A only. So if you want to tackle that as a small to medium enterprise, like you have to hire either a consultant or get an academic or whatever to explain all of that to you before you can get going and implement a productive use case, which I think is quite a challenge. And that's probably the reason why all of the projections that we're seeing are 2, 3, 4, 5 years out. And another thing that is also being discussed which shows the fragmentation of all of these channels, is the fact that these are not interconnected, right? So these are closed networks. So I'm actually very happy that I have Viber on here because they were quite sad that they're never mentioned. I think they're a quite powerful channel and they have been really one of the first. So they're here right after Meta. So I hope they see that. Even before Apple Business Chat and Google Business Messages, which is, by the way, not RBM. It's the messaging in their Google Maps application. So these chat apps are so successful because when you set up a business, even if it's a small, medium enterprise or large business, it doesn't matter. Like a chat app can replace all of these different like business functions that you have. That can be very high priced cost centers in your company, right? As a company, you have to operate physical stores, very expensive. You have to operate call centers, also large cost center typically. You have to operate a website, which is painful for many companies. You have to run a lot of advertisement. You have to be discoverable. You have to do search engine optimization. You have to be listed. You have to be findable. You have to be known. And all of these things can be provided by chat apps. And that is why it is so powerful, because you can basically turn your entire business digital. You don't need any of this anymore. You can put it all into this super app, into this environment, which is really nice. And the reason why this works is because these channels have invested a lot and are still investing, some more, some less, into rich experiences, right? So the chat apps allow you to have a virtual retail store basically because they have a payment system. They have a basket system. They allow you to present products like a storefront or even in a digital way in a catalog. You have customer surveys in it. You have loyalty programs that you can run. You can push newsletters. You can have complaint management, customer onboarding. All of these features can be built inside of these chat apps that are typically a function of what I've shown before. And you can make that very nice looking, right? You have carousels and buttons. It can be very, very engaging. But regardless of this, all of this is called conversational. And what I think is important to highlight behind all of this is conversational typically means it's text-based. Right? We have seen that before in the AI space as well. What's the strongest development is the intelligence in generating text. So yes, these chat apps have rich experiences, but these experiences generally rely on having a conversation that is text-based. So there is not necessarily the need for pictures and videos if you just have the option to get the feedback from your customer and get a reply, which should be very easy. So let's take a look at the reality check, and we have seen that multiple times. So if the majority of the value there is text-based, and to be fair, in the beginning when WhatsApp launched, they didn't have a lot of nice-looking features. The majority of what you could be doing was text formatting. It was just text. But still, new use cases appeared, and they grew exponentially, 50% quarter over quarter at least. And that was really nice. But why was that the case? So I'm standing here today and say the main reason for that was because it was two-way, because you could actually get the direct reply from the customer and make it conversational. It has a lot of power if you can do that. If you look at what's the opposite of conversational, you come up with terms like technical, distant, and silent. That's not very good to create a customer relationship if you use a channel that is known for such terms. And it happens if you only use one way. Another thing that also frequently happens if you only use one-way SMS, your company doesn't stick with the same sender ID, right? So if you use one provider, you get a sender ID. If you use another provider, you get another sender ID. With these chat apps, if you register one and you create a business profile, you keep that business profile. You don't change that anymore. And what happens here is that if you once get a message and you have a good experience once with that brand, and you get more messages within the same thread, the relationship starts to build up. On the contrary, if you have other brands that use one-time use sender IDs, for example, it pops up in a different thread every time. So you can't really build a relationship. And I think that's the main reason why the chat apps are growing and growing and growing. And they're not just stealing revenue from existing channels, they're building new use cases. They're building new types of engagements because they can build the relationship with the customers. And on the other hand, the technical, distant, and silent SMS channel is declining. Multiple reasons, and we heard a lot of them. But still, the chat apps have a problem. And one thing that I said is their reach in countries. Okay, there are some countries which is very high. I think in the Netherlands, WhatsApp has about 85 to 90% penetration, which is massive. And this is also why the channel works very well there. But generally in tier 1 or tier 2 countries, it's not that high. You can't just serve every customer with one channel. And then it becomes more expensive if you have to develop multiple strategies. And then on top, if you run for example, retail stores with high-class products, I don't know, watches, high fashion brands and whatnot, Your clients potentially are, to a large extent, even like travelers or certain communities or demographics that are like very concerned about data protection and might not use chat apps. So you will certainly leave people behind when you come up with your engagement strategies. And this is horrible if you want to build out critical processes. And then you have the good old SMS, which works today, and it's ubiquitous. So what worked in my consultation in the implementation of the omnichannel solutions with the brands that I was working on and that I onboarded generally on the WhatsApp Business API, and there were hundreds of them, was to say, like, okay, like, do the strategy for SMS. It's ubiquitous. Create whatever conversational relationship you want to have only text-based. Think about the content that you really want to like relay, and then make that nice for the primary channel in that country. And then you're like covered. You have ubiquitous reach, but still you have the very nice marketing stories that you can say, well, you have implemented these channels and you have the rich experiences. And if other chat apps grow, you can extend that there too, but you get internally the return of investment that you have made there without leaving anybody behind. So it can be very inclusive. And that sounds like a theory that you can do that. You can combine that and roll out all of the new conversational use cases also on SMS. Because when we hear SMS, we only think about one way. I think outside the US, we only receive alphanumeric sender IDs, potentially shortcodes, but there is no engagement there too. It's just for opt-outs or complaints or whatever. So our industry, although the technical capabilities are there, as proven in the United States, like you can do toll-free phone numbers, you can do wireline phone numbers that are being acquired by businesses and use them for two-way texting. It's not widely known and not widely spread. And I'm here today to tell you, like, you can do that. Just do it. Like, if you're an enterprise, you don't have to go there and ask for a mobile number to do like texting with your clients. It's not supposed to be that mobile phone numbers are being used for programmable telco. Every regulator says, no, that's supposed to be an individual, it's supposed to be on a device. But the regulators would not have any issues with you using your toll-free phone number, because everybody that would receive that would know that that's not a private person, that is a business. So there's a clear distinction between those two for subscribers. So I would say use the existing technology, use the existing assets of a business, right? Like if you have a phone number as a business, you own it and you own it for a long time. Add messaging on top of it. And there is existing technology and infrastructure to do it. Just use it. And with that, then create ubiquitous conversational experiences today. And I also think that with the increase of the success of the chat apps and the conversational use cases, there is big opportunity because a lot of these use cases and implementations will swap over to SMS as well, right? For this ubiquity. And potentially also because designing on text only is easier. Like, imagine the investment that you have to make to design all of the images, to create all of the videos, make sure they're compliant, make sure they're up to date, etc. It's a lot of investment. Like for small, medium enterprises, to do it just on text-based it's much easier and doable. And there are conversational use cases that are very meaningful for enterprises that can be realized based on text. And those were basically the starting use cases for the WhatsApp success. And still, a high majority of the traffic is only text-based. It's not everything with like carousels and pictures. So appointment coordination, like a big saving in costs if you have actually people being able to reply to that. You have payment facilitation, which is a killer feature for a lot of processes that you allow your customer to do the payment quickly. It was a big factor also for retailers and the physical stores during the pandemic to move their sales process to a digital channel easily without a lot of investment. Ordering, 24/7 support, because you can automate a lot of the complaint management and a lot of the FAQs now with AI and chatbots. Loyalty programs as well. And another thing that I want to highlight here, if you have messaging that is not just one way, but two-way, you as a brand get also rid of the concern whether your messages are being trashed. Or whether there is something potentially that shouldn't be there because you can just ask for the reply from the customer. So this was B, pitching, use two-way SMS. It is amazing. I personally love it, but don't take my own word. I will go back a little bit in 2016 now into a case study because I think 2016 SMS was still loved and is not bashed as much as it is today. So I used a meme from 2016. So this is RAMP. You know, for those of you who don't know RAMP, Ramp is expense management solution that is used in the United States. And they don't really care about fancy looks, right? The only thing that Ramp knows is that critical processes must be simple, easy, and very reliable. And that's what they have done, right? So Ramp has created great user experience. I've never seen like a expense payment system that is so nice. So I suggest be like Ramp. And here I have to the right examples of what they're doing. And I hope you can read that, although it's white on black. So they basically have incorporated into two-way SMS the acknowledgement of payments. So you know that if you have a credit card payment, you typically have to enter a code or you have to download a multi-factor authentication application from Visa or MasterCard or from your bank to allow credit card payments. Now, in corporate environment, that might be a little challenge to set that up with all of your employees. So what Ramp did is they just like registered your phone number. You have to confirm your phone number, and whenever you make a payment with your card and your corporate requires to do a two-factor authentication, you have to send back a yes. You see that at the bottom right to confirm that payment as a 2FA method. They also sent you links, which actually look nice because the iOS has like link preview to manage your expenses. And another cool feature that I like a lot, because it's also picture enabled in the United States, whenever you have a payment, they notify you that the payment was done, and then it reminds you to upload a receipt and like put the memo notes. Our finance team loves this. And what they allow you is to just take a picture with your phone and send it via MMS to that phone number. It then gets automatically processed, it gets scanned, it gets matched to your expenses, and it gets uploaded. Like, it basically solves all of the issues of, oh man, I have to keep my receipts, I have to email them, I have to scan them, I have to take them home, I have to upload them, all this tedious process has just been realized in a very simple two-way SMS conversation. And that's reality today, like you can do that. That's not a big thing, as long as you have two-way SMS capabilities. And there is technology today out there that allows that, and we have heard about this before. 10DLC in the United States is a big thing. And I think other countries should embrace that too. So if you're a service provider or an operator, you should definitely get involved here. And if you're an enterprise, you should demand that, not to get random short codes or mobile numbers. Use your existing corporate numbers for SMS use cases. Yeah, that was it from my side. I actually accelerated in contrast to some others and opened the floor for questions. No, it's all right.
Any questions? Yes.
Hi, Anthony Horner again from Klaviyo. You're obviously pushing two-way SMS quite a bit, but all the talks today have been about, rising costs of SMS. How are brands going to afford doing like customer support two-way on SMS when in some countries like Germany you've got 10 cents per message? So we find we work with a lot of marketing brands. They're not really interested in two-way because it's just too expensive. They'd rather use like a WhatsApp where it's like you pay per conversation.
I understand that issue that you say that, okay, if I go into conversational use cases, the pricing models that the operators have today might kill that use case. I understand that concern. And that's a good question to the operators, how they see that, like how they wouldn't react to that. But in my experience, in these cases, the implementation cost of building that in WhatsApp is also extremely expensive for those brands. So I would say take a look at what you want to build there in terms of the use case. If it's just pure outreach and marketing, and you just like fire and forget, and you can really compare like the cost for one message by in that channel via a conversation in WhatsApp, then you might have the decision to say, yeah, WhatsApp is still better. But you can't do that if the one user you want to reach doesn't have WhatsApp. So yes, in these cases, you would have to fall back to SMS. But if you say that I have to pay more, then you also have to increase the value of it. And what I've seen, for example, for luxury brands is that they said that it's not just about like sending them something, it's about building the relationship and getting like a long living relationship with them. And these are use cases and brands where the revenue per customer is so high that they eventually don't even care if the engagement is like 10 cents or the conversation is like 10 cents or €1. It depends on the use case, yeah. If it's so price sensitive in these cases, that might be an issue. I'm just being honest. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Right, thank you.